So it's been 2 months since I uploaded the last video, and it was never intended that way. Actually, my intentions are to make the video uploads more frequent, not further apart. First thing I want to do is I want to apologize for the delay in putting out this sixth video. Unfortunately, this might seem or come across as a little bit of a step backwards, but I think you'll understand as you watch the video. Right after I uploaded the last video, I went out of town for 4 days, and I came back, and I guess if you call it good intentions, I don't think anybody intended to sabotage anything, but as you can see from the burn pile that I'm showing here, someone decided to burn brush literally 10 feet from my building, and the smoke damage was pretty intense. I actually thought I was going to have to start over from scratch. Instead of starting over from scratch, I know that ozone generators eat smoke, so I went out and I purchased fairly inexpensive one. I think I paid $130, $140 for this one. So I started running this thing, and it ran literally every day for a week, trying to eat the smoke out of this building and out of the materials. The last thing you want to do is have a camper that smells like it was in a fire. Quick, just to show you what I've been working on. And then let you know the reason why the delay. Lightning struck twice. As I just mentioned in the video, the COVID thing for me turned out to be pretty bad. Like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I had 10 days of fever before I went into the hospital, and just not back to normal yet. The pneumonia did some lung damage, and unfortunately for me, I can't breathe in this frigid air that we have here. In addition to that, I was also working on, this is part of, these are part of the lift system. This piece slides inside this other piece. And, oh, I thought I'd already drilled the holes in it. This piece slides inside this piece. This is the base that goes on this post. There are a couple other pieces to this that comprise the homemade jacks that I'm building. Pull this little piece of paper out, see if you can see that. But this is basically the drawing that I made up for homemade jacks. Now there's a compromise here. You can go out and spend $1,200 up to $2,000 on sophisticated
auto leveling motorized jacks, or you can put the time in to drill all these damn holes, and there's a lot of them. And if you do a pilot hole first and then have to go back and enlarge the holes, you're looking at twice the labor, which is, these are labor intensive. But the cost is next to nothing. I mean, I figured that if I make these jacks myself, the material cost, negligible. They'll cost me maybe $25, $30 a piece, but I'll put a lot of hours into building these. So I'm trying to give you, let's just say, economical options. And when these are built, I'll obviously prime and paint these so that they look pretty. Again, with the word pretty. But the second thing is that the lift component of this becomes a little bottle jack. And these things are about less than $20 a piece. So when I get done with these and show you how it works, they're kind of cool in one way in that I can raise this camper almost, I can raise it over 6 feet in the air, or I can drop it all the way to the ground because I brought these holes all the way down to the ground. So that's the bonus from doing that. Like I said again, they're cheap, inexpensive, labor intensive. And I don't think those sophisticated jacks will lower you all the way to the ground. Now, originally, I had another concept in mind, and I have a real mess on my table right now, so try not to look at it. But you see I have these 3-ton jacks, which would have been really nice. They would not have allowed me to go all the way to the ground, but they're so, I mean, for me, my size, it doesn't really matter, but they're heavy. I mean, for the average person, I mean, these jacks weigh 25, 30 pounds a piece. And when you start coupling that with all this other steel, it might not be so convenient to be moving jacks around. So I just wanted to give you an idea so that you didn't think that I was out here being a total snail, putting this thing together. But with what was going on, I'm dragging a little, so please forgive me, but I still wanted to give you a year-end update. On top of that, I have other things that I have going, is that in this box, I've already got the drawer glides for the drawers that are gonna go in here. So here's my drawer glides. I wanted to give you another little thing. This is another project. I'm wanting to get away from hoses for the air lines in my shop. Air compressor back there, still haven't never put the anchors in the ground, but that hose is just a real pain in the ass. So I did buy all the copper to plumb this thing for air. The other thing, kind of difficult for me to show you right now, we've talked about it, you've heard me drop it a few times, but the air conditioning unit, of course, I have the air conditioning unit. I can't install it till I get it outside. Those doors will not allow me to move this camper out. It's as it is. I have about a 1-inch leeway underneath the camper, so when I put some pipes on this thing to roll it out of here, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to move around. The only other thing that I really want to show you right now is these. I made some changes on the front. I had marked it out. I had bent, you guys had seen that I had steamed and bent a center post to raise the section in the front of the sleeper, the skin. But I just got to tell you, it just really wasn't working out. It wasn't wrapping right. And I mean, I could work it out, but it just didn't seem to be worth that much effort to put it together. And when I took the piece, which is the sheet over here, when I took that piece and I put it up here flat, I just don't know that it's really worth all the effort. So what I did do is I've installed these strips on the inside so that the side sheets will go from here straight across, and then another sheet will go up here in the front. And then what I figured that I could do is, if I really wanted that bow in the unit, I can do that as an after effect. This piece that I've cut out, that's going on the inside of the camper, up against the, that's kind of in front of the sleeper, right behind the cab of the truck. As you can see, I've marked out that little mark out area right there is where the window on the truck goes. I haven't got them marked out right now, but right in these areas, oops, sorry, right in these areas right here. And then on this side over here will be the drawers. There'll be about 5-6 inch deep drawers that'll be going underneath the sleeper. Let me move this board and I'll show you what I got going on with that. The area is where the drawers are gonna go. I had hoped to do that for the last video, but I was waiting on a couple of parts from China. That is these bushing blocks, pillow blocks, I've seen them called a couple different things. The reason why I got them from China, to be frank, they were like $17 a piece, I think, coming from China. They wanted upwards of $250 a piece for them in the United States. So, for common sense reasons, I waited for them to come in from China. What these are for is I've modified this. Before I had talked about having a hinged platform that would drop down, that would act as the extension for the sleeper, because I'm about 22 inches short of having a full 80-inch long sleeper, which would be a queen size sleeper. So what I did was, is I've ordered these blocks. These blocks will end up getting mounted underneath. These stainless steel rails, I'll drill out 3 of these. There'll be one over here on this side, one over here on this side. There'll be 3 of these that will go through the support into these bushing blocks, which will be attached underneath. And they'll have these little stop collars on the end to keep them from coming all the way out. And then there's also these little bushings on here to help slide. But the idea is to take, I'm gonna double these up. I got some real nice oak rails that once I finish these, stain them and everything, they're gonna look pretty. Yeah, that's pretty Zord I can use. Those rails are going to mount on the outside of this. So the idea is that when I want to extend the sleeper, I'm just gonna grab that rail, pull this out, it'll come out 22 inches, and this platform will be the extension on the sleeper. If necessary, and I think that these should hold the weight and everything because there's not gonna be that much weight on them, but if necessary, I can also put straps that will hold the outside edges on the corners. The second thing that I've been doing, or that I was working on, was enclosing these closets. So I built frames to go around the closets. They're not mounted right now. I'm considering doing some trimming or some shaping on the front side of this wall, just for aesthetic reason, no other real reason. Inside these closets, there's going to be a drawer, or there's going to be a hinged platform that'll open up that'll allow me to store underneath, plus have the room for clothes or whatever I'm going to put in here. So between that closet, the one on the opposite side, and these drawers, those are going to constitute a good portion of the storage that I have for this. Plus, if you'll notice, I've completely dismantled this entire wall. At the beginning of the video, I've given you the reason why I did that, but it'll make sense to you here shortly. But when I started putting the thing, or started measuring the thing to put it back together, I'm actually kind of glad that I did that, because this area right here was supposed to be a pantry, but I decided to put a larger window in here. I really want a nice opening on this side. This will be the the table will be over here, captain's chair, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be over here. So this will basically be the sitting area, and I really wanted to keep that as open as possible for, you know, basically whenever I'm stopped camping, whatever I want a nice view. On the other side of the camper, this section down here, these are not mounted in yet. Well, I think this one is, but the other one's not. This will end up receiving additional supports for a granite countertop. Granite is not necessary, but I want this to look nice. So there will be some additional supports going here. I left myself about a 5-6 inch opening. There's going to be electronics installed inside here. One of the other things that I'm looking at is that I might use a portion of that storage area I just showed you and install my refrigerator freezer in the base of that. Or the second option is that where you see these sawhorses sticking out down here, those obviously won't be inside the camper when it's over with, but they kind of represent an area in that the solar system, I have to have a place for the solar charger, the batteries, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I'm considering having a small bench area that sticks out here, maybe about, I don't know, 14, 16 inches, that will go all the way across. And underneath the top of that is where all of the solar components will be, not including the panels on the roof. But if I do that, and I really have to think this through, because I don't know that I want to be, I don't know how often I would be getting into that, but it also provided me an area that I could also put the refrigerator and freezer in here. I have to think that through. I was going to put a Dometic CFX 95. I can't remember what the exact dimensions on it were right now, but I was going to put that here. May put it up on top, may get a smaller unit and put it inside that area. Just want to show you what I'm looking at and what my thought process is as I move through.
So kind of having to do some R&R, but in warmer weather. So I first headed to Florida, spent about 10 days in Florida, just literally wandering around. I drove the perimeter of the state. It was a nice drive, but my goal was just to stay in warm air. And then as I was heading back, I had the opportunity to go to Mexico. And so I decided to take them up on the offer, and I headed down. I had never been to Cancun. Eventually, part of my camper series is going to be traveling. I don't know if I'll be traveling with a camper in Mexico, and that's a whole other video by itself, but I do want to do some traveling. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of explanation why the long delay in getting the next video out.
Buscaba aún así y por fin que te vi, yo me enloquecí, buscaba una así y por fin te conseguí. Y ahora en mi corazón tú estás y ya no quiero a nadie más. Contigo me quiero pasarla, mamacita, vámonos de fiesta.